we represent the point by the coordinates r and theta, where r is the distance from the origin and theta is the angle in the counterclockwise direction from the x-axis. So now to get the unit vectors. So first of all, we know that r has two components. R vector has a projection on the x-axis, that is x, and the y-axis is y. That's what I have labeled on the diagram. So I can write r as r component on the x-axis, which is r cosine theta, because this x which you see here, which will be r cosine theta, and y will be equal to r sine theta. So I can write r cosine theta, that's the x component of r vector I cap, plus r sine theta, that's the y component of r vector, and we'll write j cap. So first of all, I cap is the unit vector in x-axis, j cap or j hat is the unit vector in y-axis or along the y-axis, and k cap is the unit vector in the z-axis or the z-axis. Okay. Now these unit vectors have magnitude 1 and they just represent the direction in which that value is increasing. That means x is increasing towards the right. Yeah, so the unit vector for x will be pointing towards right. Y, the value of y is increasing, in this case it's increasing up. So that means j cap will be pointing up. And k is perpendicular to this plane, which I can't show on the plane because it's 2D. So j is going to point out of the plane. So j vector, unit vector, that is k cap, will also point out of the plane. Okay. So what's a unit vector? It has magnitude 1 and the direction of it is in the direction of increasing value of that particular component, like if it's x or y or z. The direction in which that increases, that's the direction for the unit vector. So now for we want to find out what is first UR. UR means the unit vector for R. So UR, that's the unit vector for R, which we can write as cosine theta I cap plus sine theta j cap. How I can write that? Because I said that it's the unit vector. So definitely its magnitude should be equal to 1. And we can see it's a unit vector for R. So R, magnitude of R should be equal to 1 if I'm talking about unit vector. And I can see that if I take the magnitude of, I have to replace R with 1. So let's not write it like this. 1 minute. Let me just rub this out. Instead of that, we'll just say that because I want unit vector in the direction of R, I'm going to put R as 1. And then I will get UR as cosine theta I cap plus sine theta j cap. And if I want to find, if I check the magnitude of UR, I will find it as 1 because cosine square theta plus sine square theta, square root of that will give me 1. So that means this is true because its magnitude is 1 and I have generated it from the R vector. So I can see that this is cosine theta, this is sine theta, just like in the R vector, and its magnitude is equal to 1. So now how to represent it on the diagram? So UR should have a magnitude of 1, which we have ensured, and it should point in the direction in which R increases. So this is the R which we have shown in the diagram. But if I want to increase it, you know that it will be increasing in this direction. This will be the direction in which it will be increasing. That means the unit vector for R should point in this direction. This is the unit vector for R. So let me just draw it at point A. So let's just remove this to the side. Okay, so if I want to draw the unit vector, it will look like this. This will be UR. Now U theta, that's what our objective is. We want to find out what is U theta in terms of cosine and sine. So U theta, what is U theta? It's the unit vector for theta. Yes, that means its magnitude should be 1 and it should point in the direction in which theta is increasing. So we said that theta will be measured from x in the counterclockwise direction. So theta is increasing means it should point like in this increasing direction. So you can see how the angle is increasing in the counterclockwise direction. So if I want to draw unit vector U theta at this point A, I will be drawing it perpendicular to UR. So that's the direction in which theta is increasing. That's why I'm drawing it like this, because it's showing me the direction in which theta is increasing. So U theta will be making a 90-degree angle with UR. Okay, so U theta and UR are perpendicular to each other. Okay. Now, if I do cross product, so there are two types of products which you can do for vectors. One is called as dot product and one is called as cross product. So if I do cross product of two vectors, I will get the answer as a third vector. Okay, so a cross product. So let me just quickly write here A cross B. So if I have two vectors A cross B, I will get the answer as a vector. So the vector, the cross product of two vectors gives me a vector. Whereas if I have dot product, it gives me a scalar quantity. So cross product, this is called as cross product. This is called as dot product. So cross product gives me a vector quantity as an answer, but a dot product gives me a scalar quantity. So we are going to focus on cross product. So I'm just going to remove this dot product. Now, more than being a vector, this vector will be perpendicular to both A and B. So this is something which you need to know as previous knowledge. Okay, when we do cross product, the product answer will be a vector and it will be perpendicular to the two vectors which you used for doing the cross product. So what we are going to do here is we are going to do the cross product for UR and U theta. Okay, so when I do cross product of UR and U theta, you can see that UR and U theta are lying on the XY plane. So the product which will come out will be perpendicular to the XY plane. So we know that the unit vector which is perpendicular to XY plane is K, because K cap is a unit vector in the Z axis. So Z axis is perpendicular to the XY plane. That means it is perpendicular to UR and U theta. So that's why I'm writing UR cross U theta as K cap. Okay. Now, remember what's the objective? We want to find what is the expression for U theta in terms of cosine and sine. That's what is the objective of the whole thing. So let's write this as cosine theta I cap plus sine theta j cap. Then cross, I don't know what is U theta. So I just write it as xi plus yj cap. So what I'm doing is I don't know what is x and y for U theta. So I just write it as xi plus yj cap and I equate it to k cap. Okay. Now another thing which we want to know is before we can, so I'm just going to make some space here. Okay, let me just move this aside. Now another thing which we want to know about the cross product of unit vector is if I do, so I, j, k, they are cyclic, like after I comes j, after j comes k. So if I do I cross j, I will get k. If I do j cross I will get negative k. Okay. So if I change the order of the vectors, I will get a negative answer. Okay. If I do j cross k, so I'm doing j cross k, I have to follow the order, I will get I. But if I do k cross j, I'll get negative I. Okay. If I do cross product of the vector with itself, it will always be 0. So I cross I is 0, j cross j is 0, k cross k is 0. The reason is because if I recall cross product, a cross b is ab sine theta with a unit vector. So I don't know what's the unit vector, I'm just writing it as u cap, but I know that this whole thing will be a vector quantity. So what's the magnitude? What's the magnitude here? AB sine theta. Now sine theta, theta is the angle between A and B. So when I do cross product of a vector with itself, that means the angle is 0 and sine 0 is 0. So that's why I get this as 0. Okay. So remember, cross product of a vector with itself is always 0. Cross product, it's not does not have commutative property. That means you cannot exchange the order. So you have to follow the order. I cross j is k, k cross j is j cross I is minus k. Okay. Now knowing this, we are going to open the brackets here. We need to open the brackets here. So that's what we are going to do next. So again, I need some more space. Let's just move this up. Okay. So now when I open the bracket, I will have cosine theta I cap multiplied by x I cap. Multiply means cross product. So I'm going to have I cap and I cap, that will become 0. Then cosine theta I cap multiplied by y j cap. So let's just write that. Cosine theta I cap cross y j cap. Okay. I did not write the first cross product because I can see it is I cap cross I cap, which is 0. Then I go to sine theta, j cap and I cap. Yes, I will write that because they are different vectors. So plus sine theta j cap cross x I cap. Okay. Let's just write this x slightly different because this is not the symbol for cross product. It is what we are trying to find out. The x and y for u theta. Okay. Now equal to, not equal to, before that, so sine theta j cap x I cap I wrote. Sine theta j cap and y j cap, that's a cross product between the same vector. J cross j will give me 0, so I don't have to write that. Then equal k cap. So this is cosine theta, y cosine theta, and I cross j is k cap, which we can see here. Plus x sine theta I can write together. And then we have j cross I. J cross I is negative k. I changed the order here, so it should be negative k. So I'll write k here and I change this sign in between them as negative. Equal k cap. So I can compare this. I can see that k cap is coming on both the sides. K cap can be taken common. So what do I see? Y cosine theta minus x sine theta is equal to 1. Okay. So now we need to, again, we don't know what is x and y. That's what we wanted to find. What is x and y? So we are going to now use some logic here. You can see this is cosine theta, this is sine theta, and we want answer as 1. So we know that identity cosine square theta plus sine square theta is 1. So somehow I want to like put this in that format. So y, if I take as cosine theta, and x, I'll take it as negative sine theta to take care of the negative which is here in between them. So if I do that, I know that I will end up with this. So I have got the values for y and x. So that means y should be cosine theta and x should be negative sine theta. So I will go back to u theta. If you remember u theta, we had written as, what was u theta? We wrote it as xi cap plus yj cap. So we will write that u theta is equal to xi cap plus yj cap. Now I have got the values for for x and y. So minus sine theta I cap plus cosine theta j cap.